The harder you grip a future outcome, the more power that outcome gains over you. A promotion, a relationship, a business, a number in your bank account, none of these has to destroy your peace. But the moment you decide, I cannot be whole until this happens, desire becomes a chain. Modern culture tells you to push harder, move faster, and treat exhaustion as proof of ambition. Stoicism offers a more demanding lesson. Act with discipline, but refuse to become a servant to results you cannot fully control. Marcus Aurelius carried responsibilities most people can barely imagine. War pressed against the empire. Disease moved through its cities. Political betrayal surrounded him. Yet in the privacy of his journal, he kept returning to the present duty in front of him. Not because the future did not matter, but because the present was the only place where his character could act. This is where most people misunderstand letting go. Letting go is not quitting. It is not lowering your standards, becoming passive, or pretending you do not care. It is releasing the demand that life must obey your preferred timeline. A Stoic can pursue success intensely without worshiping it. He can love someone deeply without surrendering his self-respect. He can build, compete, prepare, and sacrifice while remembering that effort belongs to him, but the final outcome does not. That distinction changes everything. When you need one particular result to prove your worth, fear enters every decision. You overthink the email. You chase the person pulling away. You force a business opportunity that is clearly wrong. You compare your progress to strangers online and call your anxiety ambition. The tighter you hold the outcome, the less clearly you see. But when you say, I will give this my best, and I will remain steady whatever follows, your mind becomes useful again. You notice what desperation was hiding. You speak more honestly. You make cleaner decisions. You stop trying to control other people's reactions and begin controlling the quality of your own response. The Stoics treated wealth, praise, status, and comfort as preferred, but not essential. These things may improve life, but they cannot create a good character. They can be lost in a day. Your judgment, courage, discipline, and integrity are different. Those remain yours unless you abandon them. So think of the goal that currently has your mind in a cage. Ask yourself 3 questions. What part of this is mine to control? What action can I take today? And who will I become if the answer is delayed or if it never comes? Then act. Send the application. Make the call. Train the body. Build the plan. Tell the truth. But after you have done what belongs to you, release what does not. Desire without discipline makes you restless. Discipline without detachment makes you brittle. The Stoic path demands both committed action and an unchained mind. Because before you can stop fearing the future, you must learn to return to the only place where your power has ever existed, to the present moment. Most people do not lose their lives all at once. They lose them moment by moment, thinking about yesterday, fearing tomorrow, and ignoring the only hour they can actually use. Your body may be sitting in one room while your mind is living somewhere else. It replays a conversation that should have ended days ago. It imagines a failure that has not happened. It checks the phone, compares progress, rehearses explanations, and prepares for disasters that may never arrive. Then, at the end of the day, you wonder why you feel exhausted even though very little was accomplished. Marcus Aurelius repeatedly called himself back to the task in front of him. He understood that a scattered mind cannot live well. The past is no longer available for action. The future is not yet available. Only the present moment gives you a place to choose courage, restraint, attention, and duty. This does not mean the past has no lessons or the future needs no preparation. A Stoic studies yesterday and plans for tomorrow, but refuses to live in either one. Reflection should produce wisdom, not endless regret. Planning should produce action, not anxiety. The difference is simple. Preparation asks, what can I do now? Anxiety asks, what if everything goes wrong? One question strengthens you, the other drains you. Presence is not a mystical state reserved for monks or philosophers. It is the ability to give your full attention to what your life is asking of you right now. At work, it means completing the task instead of fantasizing about recognition. In a relationship, it means listening instead of preparing your defense. In solitude, it means facing your thoughts instead of drowning them in endless entertainment. And this is where presence becomes power. When your attention is divided, you miss information. You fail to notice the warning in someone's voice, the mistake in your own plan, the opportunity hidden inside an ordinary conversation. You rush because your mind is already chasing the next moment. Then you call the consequences bad luck. A calm mind sees more. The next time you feel yourself being pulled into regret or fear, do not argue with every thought. Return to something real. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice your breathing. Look at the work in front of you. Ask, what is the next right action? Not the next 10 actions. Not the solution to your entire life. The next right action. Make the call. Finish the page. Put down the phone. Apologize without defending yourself. Leave the situation you know is damaging you. Rest when rest is necessary. Then begin again. The present moment may not always feel comfortable, but it is honest. It contains no imaginary disasters and no rewritten history. It simply asks whether you will use it well. You do not need control over the entire road. You need command over the step beneath your feet. But even when you return fully to the present, life will still place resistance in your path. And what you do with that resistance will reveal whether your philosophy is real or merely something you admire when life is easy. Resistance is not evidence that life has turned against you. It is evidence that life has stopped obeying your plan. That distinction matters, because most suffering begins when reality and expectation collide. The rejection arrives. The relationship changes. The opportunity disappears. Your body weakens. Someone betrays your trust. And instead of dealing with what happened, the mind adds a second wound. This should not be happening to me, but it is happening. And until you accept that fact, you cannot respond with strength. Marcus Aurelius governed through war, plague, political instability, and personal loss. He did not have the luxury of waiting for ideal conditions. He had to work with the world as it was, not as he wished it would be. In the spirit of meditations, the lesson is clear. What blocks the original path may become the material for a better one. This does not mean every tragedy is secretly good. Stoicism does not ask you to celebrate pain, excuse injustice, or pretend loss does not hurt. It asks something harder. Can you refuse to let suffering make you smaller? An obstacle removes one option, not every option. A closed door may destroy your preferred plan, but it does not destroy your ability to think, choose, adapt, and act with character. When someone rejects you, you may not control their decision, but you control whether rejection becomes humiliation or redirection. When your career stalls, you cannot force recognition, but you can improve your skill, change your strategy, or leave a place that refuses to value your work. When betrayal exposes another person's character, you can spend years demanding an explanation or use the truth to set a boundary. The obstacle does not decide what happens next. Your judgment does. This is where many people surrender their power. They take resistance personally. They treat delay as failure, discomfort as danger, and uncertainty as a command to quit. They waste enormous energy arguing with facts that will not change. Acceptance ends that waste. To accept reality is not to approve of it. It is to stop lying about where you are. Once the mind says, this is the situation, it can finally ask, what does courage require now? Perhaps the answer is persistence. Perhaps it is patience. Perhaps you need to apologize, rebuild, learn, or walk away. Stoicism does not give the same response to every obstacle. It gives you the clarity to choose the right response instead of the most emotional one. The next time life interrupts your plan, pause before calling it a disaster. Ask, what remains within my control? What quality is this moment demanding from me? And how can I use what happened without allowing it to use me? You may discover that the delay protected you from an impulsive decision. The failure may reveal a weakness success would have hidden. The loss may force you to build an identity that no longer depends on one person, one title, or one outcome. A weak mind asks, why is this happening to me? A disciplined mind asks, what can I make from this? Yet, adapting to obstacles requires more than resilience. It requires an inner authority that no setback, opinion, or external condition can command. The moment your peace depends on someone else's behavior, You have handed them authority over your mind. A message left unanswered can ruin your day. A stranger's opinion can make you question your worth. A number in your bank account can decide whether you feel secure. A single criticism can erase months of progress. This is how people become prisoners without walls. They allow external events to govern their internal state. Stoicism begins by reversing that relationship. Epictetus taught that what disturbs us is not the event itself, but the judgment we place upon it. Someone may insult you, reject you, misunderstand you, or refuse to recognize your effort. Their behavior belongs to them. The meaning you assign to it belongs to you. This does not mean words cannot hurt or that injustice should be ignored. It means pain does not have to become submission. You can recognize disrespect without letting it define you. You can respond to wrongdoing without allowing anger to take command of your character. Inner authority is the ability to say, "This affects me, but it does not own me." Most people live in the opposite way. They say, "I will feel confident when they approve of me. I will feel successful when I earn more. I will feel peaceful when this problem disappears." But every sentence beginning with "I will be whole when" turns your well-being into a hostage. And life is an unreliable captor. People change. Money rises and falls. Praise disappears. Plans collapse. If your identity is built on things that can be taken from you, fear will always remain close. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he repeatedly reminded himself that status did not make him good. Power could not protect him from death, betrayal, illness, or grief. What remained within his command was the quality of his judgment and the integrity of his actions. That is where your real authority lives. Before checking whether others have noticed you, ask whether you respect the way you are living. Before seeking reassurance, ask whether your actions match your values. Before reacting to criticism, decide whether it contains truth. If it does, use it. If it does not, release it. You do not need to win every argument to remain strong. You do not need everyone to understand your choices. You do not need constant evidence that you are progressing. A disciplined person can continue without applause. Practice this today. When something disturbs you, pause and separate the event from your interpretation. What happened? What story am I telling myself about it? What part of this is actually mine to control? Perhaps the event is real, but the humiliation is imagined. Perhaps the delay is frustrating, but the conclusion that you are a failure is false. Perhaps someone's rejection says more about their priorities than your value. Inner authority does not promise that life will obey you. It gives you something better, the ability to remain yourself when life does not. And once you stop reacting to every external demand, you begin to discover a quieter form of power, the wisdom to know when action is necessary and when restraint is the stronger move. Not every problem is solved by doing more. Some problems grow because you refuse to stop. Our culture rewards visible motion. More messages, more meetings, more plans, more effort, but activity can become a hiding place for fear. You keep moving because stillness might force you to admit that the strategy is wrong, the relationship is finished, or the opportunity is not ready. Stoicism does not praise passivity. It praises deliberate action. A disciplined person does not act simply to escape discomfort. He acts because reason has shown him what should be done. And when nothing useful can be done, he has the restraint to wait without collapsing into panic. This is strategic non-action. It is the pause before replying to an insulting message, the night you sleep before making a major decision, the refusal to chase someone who has already shown you where you stand, the willingness to stop forcing a project that needs better timing, better information, or a different direction. Restraint is not weakness. It is power under command. Marcus Aurelius lived in a world where impulsive decisions could cost armies, cities, and lives. He could not afford to confuse urgency with wisdom. He had to distinguish between what required immediate action and what required patience, observation, or silence. You face the same distinction on a smaller scale every day. When anxiety takes control, everything feels urgent. You send the second message, then the third. You explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You keep adjusting the plan because waiting feels unbearable. You call this persistence, but often it is fear demanding movement. The question is not, can I do something? The question is, will this action improve the situation? If the answer is no, stillness may be the wiser choice. A strong person can leave a question unanswered for a night. He can allow another person's emotion to settle before responding. He can let evidence arrive before forming a judgment. He can walk away from an argument that offers no truth, only noise. This kind of restraint creates space. Space to see motives clearly. Space to notice what pressure was hiding. Space for other people to reveal themselves without your interference. Space for a better decision to emerge. But waiting must not become avoidance. Strategic non-action has a purpose. You pause to regain judgment, not to escape responsibility. Once the right action becomes clear, take it without delay. Before your next move, ask, am I acting from clarity or anxiety? Have I done what is truly mine to do? Would silence, patience, or distance serve me better than another attempt to control the outcome? Sometimes courage means pushing forward. Sometimes it means stopping before your own desperation creates damage. The person who cannot be still will eventually be controlled by anyone who can provoke him into motion. And when you learn to stop forcing life, you begin to notice something most restless people overlook: how much strength is already present in what you have. A person who cannot appreciate what he has will never feel rich, no matter how much he gains. The mind trained by scarcity always moves the finish line. More money becomes a larger target. Recognition becomes a hunger for greater recognition. One achievement creates a brief moment of relief, followed by another reason to feel behind. This is why gratitude is not merely good manners. It is discipline for the mind. Stoicism does not ask you to pretend that everything is perfect. It asks you to see reality completely. Yes, something may be missing, but something is also present. Yes, you may be struggling, but you are still capable of learning, choosing, enduring, and acting. Gratitude does not deny difficulty. It prevents difficulty from becoming the only thing you can see. Marcus Aurelius began his private reflections by remembering the people from whom he had learned patience, courage, simplicity, and self-control. Even while carrying the weight of an empire, he trained himself to notice what life had already given him. Most people do the opposite. They study what others possess and overlook what is already supporting them. They complain about a slow career while ignoring the skill they have developed. They fear losing a relationship while failing to value the people still beside them. They criticize their body while forgetting everything it continues to carry them through. The problem is not ambition. The problem is ingratitude disguised as ambition. You can want to improve your life without treating your present life as worthless. You can pursue more while refusing to believe that more will finally make you enough. Seneca returned often to this truth. Poverty is not simply having little. It is being unable to stop craving. A person with few possessions and a disciplined mind may feel free. A person surrounded by wealth and ruled by appetite may feel permanently deprived. Enough is not a number. It is a relationship with desire. When you recognize enough, you do not become complacent. You become stable. You stop chasing from fear and begin building from purpose. You no longer need success to rescue your identity, so you can pursue it more intelligently. You become less vulnerable to comparison, manipulation, and impulsive decisions. Gratitude also changes how you experience difficulty. A setback can expose a weakness you needed to correct. A loss can reveal what truly mattered. A difficult person can train your patience, boundaries, or judgment. You do not have to call pain good, but you can refuse to let pain leave you empty-handed. Practice this without making it sentimental. At the end of the day, name 3 things that were useful, meaningful, or quietly good. A conversation, a lesson, a meal, a body that kept moving, a moment in which you controlled a reaction that once would have controlled you. Then ask one harder question. What am I taking for granted because it has not yet been taken away? Your time is not guaranteed. Neither are your health, your relationships, your opportunities, or the ordinary routines you barely notice. Memento mori is not meant to make you gloomy. It is meant to wake you up. The person who understands enough can enjoy what is here without becoming terrified of what may disappear. But gratitude alone cannot govern the inner world. You must also learn how to feel deeply without surrendering command to every emotion that enters your mind. Your emotions deserve to be heard, but they do not deserve the throne. Anger, fear, grief, jealousy, and disappointment are not signs that you have failed at Stoicism. They are part of being human. The failure begins when you treat every emotion as an order. You feel rejected, so you chase. You feel insulted, so you attack. You feel afraid, so you avoid the decision that could change your life. You feel lonely, so you return to people who have already shown you that their presence costs more than their absence. This is how emotion becomes authority. Stoicism teaches something far more honest than suppression. You do not deny what you feel. You examine it. You ask what judgment produced it, what truth it contains, and what action, if any, it deserves. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that the mind adds meaning to events. Someone speaks carelessly, and the mind says, "I have been humiliated." A plan fails, and the mind says, "My future is ruined." Another person succeeds, and the mind says, "I am falling behind." The event may be real, the verdict often is not. Emotional sovereignty begins in the space between feeling and action. That space may last only a few seconds, but your freedom lives there. When anger rises, pause before speaking. When fear appears, separate danger from imagination. When sadness comes, allow it to move through you without turning it into an identity. Say, "I feel this," rather than "this is who I am." That small change restores command. But command over emotion also requires honesty about the life you are living. Many people are exhausted not because life asks too much of them, but because they are constantly performing a version of themselves designed to earn approval. They laugh when they want to object. They agree when their values say no. They pursue careers, relationships, and lifestyles that look impressive from the outside, but feel empty within. Then they wonder why achievement brings no peace. A divided life cannot produce a steady mind. Authenticity does not mean saying everything you think or using honesty as permission to be cruel. It means that your actions, words, and values are no longer at war with one another. You speak truth with restraint. You choose goals that actually belong to you. You stop reshaping your character for people who would only accept you in disguise. This takes courage because authenticity has a cost. Some people will prefer the version of you that had no boundaries. Some opportunities will disappear when you stop pretending. Some relationships will weaken when you no longer betray yourself to preserve them. Let them. Losing what requires your dishonesty is not loss. It is correction. The Stoic does not ask, "How can I make everyone approve of me?" He asks, "What is the honorable action, and can I accept the consequences of taking it?" Practice this in one situation today. Say no without inventing an excuse. Admit what you truly want. Stop explaining yourself to someone determined to misunderstand you. Make one decision based on principle instead of applause. You do not become powerful by controlling every emotion. You become powerful by refusing to let emotions separate you from reason, dignity, and truth. Because the final test of self-mastery is not whether you can force life to move faster. It is whether you can remain disciplined while life unfolds on a timeline you did not choose. The hardest thing to surrender is not the goal. It is your demand that the goal arrive on your schedule. You can work with discipline, make wise plans, and still find yourself standing before a closed door. The answer does not come. The opportunity is delayed. The person you hoped would stay chooses another path. Life moves, but not in the direction you expected. This is where self-mastery is tested. Stoicism does not ask you to believe that every delay is a hidden reward or that the universe is arranging every event for your comfort. It asks you to accept a harder truth. You do not control when outcomes arrive, how long they remain, or whether they arrive at all. What you control is the person you become while waiting. Marcus Aurelius lived with uncertainty that no amount of power could remove. An emperor could issue commands, but he could not command disease to disappear, prevent every betrayal, or negotiate with death. He could only meet each day with reason, duty, courage, and restraint. That is the real meaning of trusting the process. It is not passive faith that everything will happen exactly as you want. It is confidence that whatever happens, you can meet it without abandoning your character. Set the goal. Prepare carefully. Work when work is required. Wait when waiting is wise. Change direction when reality gives you better information. But do not turn impatience into proof that your life is failing. A delayed result is still only a delayed result. It is not a verdict on your worth. Many people destroy the present while demanding the future. They rush into the wrong relationship because solitude frightens them. They accept work that violates their values because progress feels too slow. They force decisions because uncertainty feels unbearable. Then they discover that getting something quickly can cost far more than waiting for something right. Time does not merely delay you. It reveals you. It reveals whether your desire is rooted in purpose or insecurity. It exposes weak plans, false relationships, borrowed ambitions, and the parts of your character that still depend on control. Waiting can become wasted time, but it can also become training. So while the outcome remains uncertain, strengthen what remains yours. Improve your judgment. Build your skill. Keep your word. Care for your body. Protect your attention. Treat people justly. Do the work that would still be honorable, even if no one applauded. This is how a Stoic prepares for the future without becoming its prisoner. Detached desire taught you to pursue without clinging. Presence returned you to the only moment you can use. Resistance taught you to transform obstacles into material. Inner authority reclaimed your peace from external conditions. Strategic restraint showed you that not every impulse deserves action. Gratitude revealed the wealth already present. Emotional sovereignty taught you to feel without surrendering command. Authenticity brought your actions back into alignment with your values. Now all of these lessons meet in one question. Can you give life your full effort without demanding that life give you your preferred reward? If you can, you become difficult to break. Success may come, and you will receive it without becoming arrogant. Failure may come, and you will endure it without becoming worthless. Praise may find you, and you will not become addicted to it. Loss may visit you, and although you will grieve, you will not allow grief to erase the person you have chosen to be. This is not manifestation through wishful thinking. It is transformation through character. The Stoic does not wait for the world to become peaceful before mastering his mind. He builds an inner order strong enough to stand inside uncertainty. He understands that peace is not the reward waiting at the end of the journey. Peace is the discipline with which the journey is taken. So, release the timeline. Release the need to control every response, every result, and every turn in the road. Keep your intention. Keep your standards. Keep moving when movement is yours to choose. Then let reality answer in its own time. Your task is not to force life into submission. Your task is to become the kind of person who can meet life as it is without panic, without self-betrayal, and without surrendering the command of your own mind. If you are choosing disciplined effort over desperate control, write this in the comments. I act with purpose, and I release the outcome. The future does not need your fear. The present needs your character.